Welcome everybody to the Recharge Q1 webinar. You'll notice this is a little different if you were actually on our original recording. The webinar did not record, so we got all of our awesome panelists back on to re-record this for you to make sure that this would be valuable content. We had a lot of people reaching out asking for this recording, so happy to get back on and get a re-recording. Forgive us for not recording it the first time, and if answers are slightly different, we'll try to make sure that we get you all the content that you're looking for. If you do have any other follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to Recharge and we will get you in contact with the right people. So kicking this off, my name is Chase Alderton. I'm going to be moderating this panel, and first things first, I want to introduce Martin Yee from O Positive. So Martin, tell us a little bit about yourself and about O Positive.
Let me talk a little bit about O Positive first. We're a D2C health and wellness company. We were frustrated that many female health areas were so consistently overlooked and brushed aside. Menstruation, menopause, sexual health, the list goes on. So Flow Vitamins, the first ever gummy vitamin for PMS, that was us. That came out a few years ago. And we've now expanded into all those areas with effective and also enjoyable solutions. I myself am the Chief Marketing Officer for O Positive. I was the first employee that actually joined the co-founders at their kitchen table. Before then, I had spent 6 years as a management consultant at McKinsey, where I worked on a lot of marketing topics, bringing companies to a digital-first marketing approach.
Awesome. Appreciate the intro. We have a couple of the people on this panel. We're going to do intros to them in a little bit, but we have Recharge, Rebuy, and Gorgias on the panel. Can you tell us how you leverage each of those technologies and what gap they fill for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think the reason why I'm here is that we use all three technologies at O Positive. Gorgias, this one is very close to my heart because when I was the only employee, I answered 2 hours of customer tickets every single night. And Gorgias really did make that much more enjoyable and bearable because it brought all the data into the same place for me. When I was thinking about how best to answer this customer who wants to maybe cancel their subscription, I was able to see, well, how many months have they tried the product? Have they bought anything else before? Is this their first time writing in? And all that data from Shopify, from Recharge, from Meta, is in one central place, so I can make the best decision about how to engage the customer with a personalized reply. Rebuy, we are now a multi-product, multi-category company, and so cross-sell and upsell and having a good engine for doing that is really important for us. And Rebuy makes it much more easily to implement all that logic, whether it's in your PDP, whether it's in your cart, whether it's after you've checked out. They create something that's pretty easy to manage, whereas I've also tried with my team to do it manually, and wow, that work is just so hard to do and to do right. And so it's a very time-saving value that Rebuy provides to us. And then lastly, Recharge. We are a predominantly subscription-based company. We find that subscribers have much higher LTV for us than non-subscribers, especially being a product where habit and consistency are very important to the results that a customer might get from our products. And so Recharge has made that so easy for us to implement. It integrates with everything. Most importantly, integrates with Shopify, but it also integrates with all the other apps that we use. Klaviyo, for example, for email, Yotpo, for example, for reviews, that we can spend our time thinking more about the impact driving questions of how to deliver better value for our customers via the subscriptions versus thinking about, well, how do we get this thing set up so that it is speaking to each other?
Love it. I appreciate all the context. So take it one step further. You mentioned that everybody kind of integrates with each other. With all the talk around customer experience, how do you make sure that each of the technologies produces a sum greater than its individual parts? How do you tie everything together and make sure that you get a better quality product?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the most important thing is what is the important data that you want and where and how you want to act on that. So it's really easy because we're in an age where there's so much data out there, first party, second party, third party. You can really make it incredibly complex and confusing for you to own and for your team to understand. So I would encourage everyone out there to think about what is the biggest impact driving connection you want to make between two different platforms, and choose the platforms that actually have that already set up for you. So for example, one of the important connections we want to make is between Recharge and Klaviyo, for example. We want to make sure that when someone starts the cancellation flow on our account portal, we're notified about that so that we can start sending messages to the customer in case they're not 100% committed to canceling as the solution. And that helps us save a lot of customers from canceling from us, and helps us actually deliver value that they were seeking from the beginning from our product by trying it for longer.
Love it. So we're going to move into retention a little bit. Couple different questions around retention, but the last 6 months, we've seen a lot of the market shift from that acquisition over towards retention. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen with retention?
Yeah, so I would say acquisition marketing is quite easy for the impatient marketer, which I think we all are. You can get results really immediately by looking into Meta. How have my ads performed with this $5,000 that I spent today on this campaign? You can do that very easily too with A/B tests on your website. The results are pretty immediate. But for retention marketing, given that the results come in over time, over weeks, if not months, it can really make the impatient marketer go nuts. And so outside of just optimizing your basket size, your AOV on your website, you can get trapped in this waiting game of, if I split my customers into two groups and treat them differently, how long will you have to wait before you see the results coming in? And oftentimes it's too long. And so what I would say is that's a challenge. And when you prioritize your initiatives, try to work on things that deliver bigger results sooner first. And then once you've knocked those fruits, lower hanging fruits out of the tree, then you can start thinking about, okay, let's set up these cohorts and follow them over months, because there still might be a lot of value there. It's just, you want to get the lower hanging fruits first.
I think you absolutely nailed it. It's a really good analogy, even though, everyone always says, find the low hanging fruit, see what you can do. But it is true. There's a lot of things you can do immediately to boost retention right away, and then kind of tackle the harder challenges, the longer challenges a little bit later. So you mentioned a little bit kind of how you're solving some of these problems, focus on the things right in front of you, but how did you overcome some of these retention challenges? Did you build anything unique? Are you leveraging any of the tech partners here? What are you using to solve those?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that we use Rebuy for is post-purchase upsell. And I love that because people who've tested upsells in the cart and the checkout, they probably know that oftentimes that initiative is at risk for depressing your conversion. And sometimes the gains that you get from cross-selling more are completely washed away because that extra component in your cart and checkout depress conversion so much that it's not even worth it anymore to have it there in the first place. But that question is completely obsolete when you talk about post-purchase upsells. They've already made the purchase. It's more of a matter of how can you get them the less friction in purchasing something else that they hadn't thought about purchasing before, but just putting that deal, putting that incentive in front of them to help them actually access better value in something extra from what they bought firsthand.
Love it. Sounds like you're leveraging tech partners pretty well. What other areas of your business were you able to focus on because of the lack of focus on, the pieces that we all solve?
Yeah, so one great example of this is in the account portal of Recharge, because Recharge provides such a usable template for the account portal and all that you might want to do there. We were able to focus a lot on setting up a account portal experience that helps a customer understand their options better. It's not as black and white as I want to keep my subscription and I want to cancel my subscription.
Right.
There are many different things you can do in between. You can delay a subscription if you have too much on hand, for example. And so we were able to set up logic that asks the customer a few questions. Do you have too much product? If so, do you want to delay instead of canceling? Do you want a more healthy option than a sugar gummy? We have a capsule that we offer as a swap to the gummy product, so that if you don't want sugar in your diet, you can choose a product that is consistent with that. And then we were able to use that same logic in the account portal and port it over to our CX team, so that when people write in through Gorgias, we can send them on a similar journey. And so regardless of where the customer is talking to us, we have the same experience and the same number of questions that can help them make the best decision for themselves.
Martin, thank you so much for your time today. Stick around a little bit. I want to pass the baton off to our presenters today. Right before we get into Q&A, I will come back to you and we'll answer a handful of these questions. So, time to introduce a couple of our other panelists. First and foremost, let's get going here. We're going to skip through housekeeping. Only item here, ChargeX is coming up in April. 25% off discount code. Feel free to grab this discount. It's good until April 5th, which is middle of next week. Please check that out. Talked about agenda. Here are our speakers. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves as we get to them and they do their presentations. So, Adnan, you are up first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chase. And thank you, Martin. That was awesome. So as mentioned, my name is Adnan Shah. I'm on the tech partnership team here at Rebuy. For those who aren't familiar, our aim at Rebuy is to create intelligent shopping experiences for your consumers. So the way that's often done right now is through personalized product recommendations. That's usually going to be personalized cross-sells and upsells. The easiest way I think to explain this is imagine walking into a grocery store. And as you're walking in, you're putting something into your cart. As you do that, the whole layout of the grocery store is going to change. The shelving is going to change. All the products are going to rearrange themselves in the store, all in a way to incentivize you to just keep putting one more thing into your cart. So that's probably the best way to explain Rebuy. Okay, so how does personalized product recommendations fit into customer retention? So one thing for all the brand marketers, all the agencies in the room is to understand or to get comfortable with getting personal. So personalization at scale is hard, but it is absolutely key in being able to have customers come back to the site. There is some element of empowerment as a consumer when you're seeing that there's some type of discount, some type of offer, some type of promotion given to you simply because of who you are, what you bought from the brand in the past. But again, personalization at scale is hard. So we'll go over a couple of tips today. Why is this actually important? Well, 70% plus of consumers are now expecting this, and 75% plus of consumers are getting frustrated when they don't have that experience. So whether you go to YouTube and you're looking at your feed, whether you're logging into Netflix, we are all actually expecting this kind of experience today. And if you're not doing it on your e-commerce store, your competitors are. And one really key point here is this is actually going to lead to a lot of customer engagement. So it's one thing to have personalized content, dynamic messaging. It's another to have that type of personalization lead to engagement. So we see a 5.5 times increase in click-through rates when the product recommendations are personalized versus non-personalized recommendations. And I think the most important number here is going to be as little as 5% increases in customer retention can lead to massive increases in profit. So ultimately, that's why we're here talking about this today. Okay, so one tip is, are you personalizing every touch point, every channel that you're able to? So it's one thing, again, an email to say, hi, Adnan. It's another for to say, hi, Adnan. We know that you've ordered this specific product in the past. Sounds like it might be time to reorder it again. So are we having personalized recommendations through email and through SMS? One of my favorites is through order tracking. So it's one thing to send your customers to an email for FedEx or UPS. It's another to send them to a branded landing page. And then even on that page, being able to have tailored recommendations based on what they've bought in the past or based on that specific order. And then one that's to be determined in terms of timeline, but very much on top of mind for merchants and very requested from us is having recommendations through support channels like Gorgias. So you can imagine someone maybe they have an issue with the sizing of their product or whatever it might be. Maybe we can recommend them the right type of product through those support engagements as well. Quick example of this is reorder landing pages. So this is a really easy way, especially depending on the types of products that you're selling, to have a one-click reorder experience for your customers directly within a Klaviyo email or Attentive Journeys. And this is really easy for existing customers to reorder. But the thing that I like about this is how we're decorating that reorder landing page with other types of recommendations. So it's not only just make it easy for your customers to come back and reorder from you, but even within that flow, how can we increase their average order value the next time they keep coming back? So at a high level, key takeaways, we know that personalization is going to lead to higher engagement. An example of that, again, is the 5.5 times increase in click-through rates when you have personalization as part of that. Higher engagement is going to correlate to returning customers. If there's that experience that, if there's that kind of promotion or offer given to me because of who I am and what I've purchased from you in the past, I'm going to be incentivized to return. And the key for where Rebuy is going to really hit is with those returning customers, how can we make sure that we're decorating their experience to increase their AOV upon their returns? So for that customer lifetime value, how can we increase that so that every time they're coming back, they're actually ordering more from you? And that's Rebuy in a nutshell. I'll pass it off to Christy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Otteson. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Recharge. For those of you who are not familiar with Recharge, we're a subscription management platform that helps businesses turn one-time buyers into loyal repeat customers. We make it easy for customers to subscribe, to buy again, to try new products, and to manage their account. According to a report by OmniConvert, the chances of an e-commerce customer returning to make a purchase drop to 20% in 200 days. But with subscriptions, it's different. We learned that subscribers stuck around longer and in bigger droves with an average of 45% retention after 6 months. This is largely because subscriptions are a relationship. As a brand, you have plenty of opportunities to build that relationship, and you can increase retention with subscriptions. So I want to dive into my top 4 tips for maximizing your subscriber relationship. My first tip for you is to communicate proactively in moments that matter with your subscribers. Just like all relationships, communication is key. So all these touch points might seem a little transactional in nature, but they are opportunities for you to continue to reinforce your value proposition. I encourage everyone to go through an exercise of outlining these key moments in their customer journey and really make sure they're communicating effectively at these different moments. We recommend leveraging Rebuy and Gorgias to effectively communicate in these different touch points. My second tip for you is to make your subscriptions flexible. One of the things that we've seen is that subscriber flexibility leads to subscription stability. So consider ways that you can provide subscribers flexibility, like product swaps, skipping and delaying, flexible delivery schedules, and then lastly, just subscription management. So SMS and making sure your customer portal is optimized. My third tip for you is to provide perks and incentives to your subscribers. So you want to be rewarding your subscribers along the way for their loyalty with discounts and special access. Exclusive perks for subscribers could be a really good selling point to take a one-time shopper to a subscriber. Next, incentives can motivate your subscribers to stick around longer, and that can help increase LTV. So some discounts I recommend are a discount on a birthday or when a subscriber's been around for a year or some period of time. And then special access can look like special access to a seasonal sale or an end of season sale, or even testing a new product launch with, a group of loyal customers. My next tip for you is to use the customer portal to cross-sell. We've just heard from Rebuy that it's really important to provide product recommendations that are relevant to your customers. So this is a great way to encourage your customers to try something new. And you can make it easy with one click to add on a new product to a subscription, whether it be a one-time or an additional subscription. So my key takeaways for you are subscriptions are an ongoing relationship with your customer. So make sure you take the steps to nurture that relationship. The key to subscriber stability is subscription flexibility. Providing perks and incentives can help retain your subscribers. And lastly, leveraging your customer portal is a really great way to increase AOV through cross-sells. I'm going to pass it over to Pallavi to tell you a little bit more about driving retention via support.
Thank you so much, Christy. Hey guys, I am Pallavi. I am from the sales and partnerships team over at Gorgias. And today we are going to talk about how to drive retention via support. So Gorgias is an omnichannel help desk solution for those of you who might not be familiar with us. And our goal is, these days in e-commerce, people reach out everywhere, right? Email, text, smoke signals, pretty much everywhere, right? So that's kind of what we are trying to solve for, that you can handle all of those in an integrated way, all in one place. So let's look at a little bit of a story. So story time here. I'm sure that everyone tuning in has seen some version of this metric, right? Which is a smaller part of your customer base is repeat, and those are the ones that are driving majority of your revenue. So the question ends up becoming, okay, why is that the case, right? Like if people are liking you, they're coming back, why are more not coming back? Where are some challenges? At least from the support side, there are different areas that you can target, of course, for retention, but on the support side, can you do anything? So if we go on, you will notice that there's three categories that we see customers really voicing their concern on when it comes to support. The first one is just straight up resolution time. If they have a problem, they just want a quick and simple solution, if that is possible, right? The second one that we hear all the time is lack of personalization, that we've gone, some of the other speakers have gone in depth on as well. So on the support side, if you've ever experienced, even as a consumer yourself, hashtag ticket number XYZ makes you feel a little bit like a prisoner, right? That is what we're talking about, lack of support, feeling just like another ticket essentially, right? And the third one we hear is, hey, no one is listening. So especially when we're doing omni-channel and customers are reaching out everywhere for e-commerce, if I say something on Insta and then I go and repeat my question on email, and then I go and try finding someone on chat and again repeat my question, right? That ends up being like, okay, well, I just told you 3 times. Like, why does your team not have it together, right? And I see Martin smiling because I'm sure something like this might have been experienced, at some point in your journey. So, okay, so now we've seen, okay, there's opportunity, there's challenges. So what we actually find, customers are simple, right? They want 80% say, hey, if you give me a personalized experience, I will buy more from you. Great. And then on the support side, the second one is speed. So they want personalization and they want speed. That's all. The challenge becomes, though, for brands, how do you actually provide this, right? Because as a brand, I'm guessing there's not unlimited resources, right? We're trying to achieve everything with a limited amount of resources, trying to maximize impact. So how do you actually do this? Very simple. There's 2 things that I'm going to share with you. The first one is meet your customers where they are, right? Meet them everywhere they are to provide that holistic omni-channel experience. The challenge here, again, is that resource constraint. How do you do that without basically spending your entire day just on all of the different channels? To do that, you need, like, ideal would be to leverage a platform that allows you to consolidate support, right? So this actually, if I go back to Martin, I think you shared in your Q&A as well, right? If you are by yourself responding to everyone, then this kind of platform just to consolidate everything, super simple, because now you're the same person, but you're meeting everyone different places while being in one place. Okay, so omnichannel kind of presence is crucial to CX. Now, once you've met people where they are and you've consolidated their conversations in one place, what do you do from there? So the final one is know your customers the minute they reach out, because you can drive a lot more value from there. Coming back to that personalization piece, right? We've just achieved speed. This is where we achieve personalization. And like here, there's some examples. So using customer data to provide exceptional experiences is key. So in the first example, you're seeing if Jimmy reaches out, right, I can provide a great experience and be like, hey, your product wasn't delivered. All right, I have all the details. Boom, would you like another one? I'll duplicate it. Or do you need a refund? Like, what do you want? Just tell me what you want. I'm going to give it to you like ASAP, right? Of course, within policies, but hopefully you're able to do that really fast. On the flip side, say someone reaches out, right, on the right side, you're now seeing the integration Gorgias has with Recharge, right? And again, it's all about being holistic. So John reaches out and says, hey, I need XYZ, but I as an agent can see, oh, okay, this John dude actually canceled his subscription in Feb of 22, right? So I can go ahead and be like, hey, John, here's your support, right? Want to help you, but also I'm seeing that you were a subscriber. what happened? Were you out of country? Like, would you like to restart? Here's a little discount, right? I can actually have that personalized conversation without necessarily me needing to take the time to go into all of these solutions and get that 360 view of the customer, right? So that is what I want to share with you. Ultimately, speed is key in CX, and an integrated tech stack is the way to do that. Okay. And Chase, over to you.
Thank you, all of our presenters. That was fantastic. I want to roll into Q&A now as I just get my notes ready here. I can just fill some silence with some useless words. There we go. So moving into I'm sorry, not Q&A, but a little bit of a panel discussion. We have a few templated questions that we want to run through all of our presenters. So just a couple quick things. Let's start with Recharge. What are some additional trends beyond retention tactics that you're seeing as important for brands to consider in 2023?
Yeah, so we all know the state of the economy is making merchants feel like they need to tighten their budgets a little bit. We're hearing from merchants every single day that they want fewer, more powerful apps, and they really want to simplify their tech stack and cut costs. So I'm going to highlight the trend of consolidation. We're seeing more and more players opening up their scope to kind of accommodate to the end-to-end experience. And so here at Recharge, we're really excited about rolling out a new product. It's called Memberships, and it's going to make it easy for your brand to offer exclusive perks and benefits with a membership program. So you can make this in addition to your subscription program. You can kind of supercharge it, and it pairs really nicely with loyalty as well. So this is not only going to help you build an additional revenue stream, but it's also going to pull customers to your brand with these enticing benefits. So we're going to share a lot more about memberships soon, but I think it kind of plays into that consolidation trend.
Thank you, Christy. Pallavi, what about you? Trend in 2023?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with profitability over growth. Even I think not just in e-commerce, even at large, that has been kind of the trend, but in e-commerce particularly, I think that acquisition fueling, kind of growth is, we've already started seeing that diminish a little bit. And today we've discussed retention. And then the second one that we've alluded to was personalization, which I feel are going to be the two basically key pillars of powering this like retention focused growth. It's going to be more of a slow drip funnel, right? Not like boom, you throw the money, you get the growth, you move on. But I think that's going to be super, super helpful. And basically the three tools, right? On-site conversions, post-sale kind of service that you provide, and like making the process or the customer journey stickier with like a subscription model. All of this essentially is gonna help with that.
Adnan, what about you?
Yeah, I love that answer. I hate reading quotes and having them unattributed, but I'm going to do it anyways. I remember reading something a couple of weeks ago that said customer acquisition is just a way to open up your product to new customers, essentially acquire a higher customer base, but customer retention is the path to profitability in 2023. So I absolutely love that answer, Pallavi. I think for myself, a trend that I like to talk about is how can you essentially superpower your tech stack by being able to make sure that they're talking to one another, leveraging each other's strengths. I think it's one thing that when you onboard with, I'm sure any of us or any one of your tech providers, you kind of check a box that says, okay, I've copy pasted my API key into the other tech. Cool, we're integrated, but are you actually using like the feature set and the actual integration, like the power of the integration? I know ourselves as vendors, a lot of times we like get really excited about building this awesome new tech and these awesome use cases. And sometimes we'll go to folks like Martin and like, you're just scratching the surface, or we're just looking and building like the initial like V1 level of the use case or the integration. So I think there's a lot of power to be had when you're actually making sure that Klaviyo and Recharge and Gorgias and Rebuy and all these things are talking to one another properly.
Martin, what do you think? Trend beyond retention?
Oh, would it be criminal if I said ChatGPT? Probably pandering to the masses here. But outside of that, we are very excited for what AI can do in terms of helping us get to the answer faster and get some more answers, whether it's copy, whether it's product names. It's really exciting what the technology can bring. I think if it hasn't happened already, the retail is coming back with force. And it used to be omni-channel meant, well, you have to succeed on D2C. But I think for our community, it's thinking about what is omni-channel for someone who's digitally native and how can that help you reach customers who are shopping in other places where you currently don't touch.
I think it's a really good thing to be thinking about. I think we're going to have some good trends in 2023. One of my favorite questions to ask, we've heard a lot of do's, brands and vendors are always saying, do this, do that. What are some don'ts? So let's flip the order. Martin, let's start with you. What's a don't to be not doing in 2023? If I can double negative that, if that makes any sense.
Sure. When it comes to retention, especially, I would not ignore email deliverability. There are only so many ways that we engage with customers, and email, SMS, they're some of the most important channels of communication. I think many people might say, oh, in order to get more revenue off the channel, let's just email someone 2 times a day or 3 times a day. And not really thinking about what is the value that the customer is getting from the series of communications that I'm putting forth. And as a result, the customers respond with signals that Gmail, Hotmail, all those providers take in to decide, is this email, is this brand worth showing in someone's inbox? And the minute they decide, no, maybe not, that's when you lose one of the most effective channels you have to drive repeat sales. So get some experts in to determine what are some best practices for deliverability and what should you continue to measure in order to make sure your email health is green.
Love that. It's such an interesting response because it's not a thing that you just toggle on or off, or maybe try to do this strategy. It's a really interesting piece there. Adnan, over to you.
I would say don't shy away from too much personalization. There really isn't any such thing as that. There's going to be levels to it. So I'm not advocating for a personalized product recommendation in every single channel at every single touch point. But is there some level of you letting the consumer know who they are, that they've shopped with you? It doesn't even have to be a specific offer or promotion. It could just be some type of personalized experience. So I would say, yeah, don't shy away from trying to personalize any and every aspect that you can.
Pallavi.
I would say don't be afraid to offer channels, like additional channels of support for people to reach out to you if you're a small team. Because oftentimes I've heard, growing, budding CS teams or brands or even founders say, hey, I want to provide chat, but I can't do that because I don't have the bandwidth to manage it, right? And what people don't realize is customers are really nice and they're very understanding. All you need to do is set the expectation, right? So if they reach out in a channel and the expectation is set right away, and it can be something cool and witty, like, oh, we're a lean, mean team. We typically get back in 12 hours. Thank you for understanding. We'll be with you shortly. They'll be completely okay. And it just provides you another place to kind of reach and meet your customers.
Last one up, Christy, what's a don't for subscription?
Some merchants are afraid of giving customers control over their subscriptions because they think if you allow someone to skip a subscription or to cancel directly from their portal, it's going to lead to a higher churn rate. Actually, the lack of flexibility and control can lead to a higher churn rate. And it presents a really poor experience for the customer. They feel like they're not in control and they want to get out of it as quickly as possible. So my suggestion is to give customers control over their subscriptions with skips, swaps, delays, like I talked about in my presentation. It actually leads to a higher engagement and higher LTV if you give customers control over their subscriptions. So it's the inverse of what a lot of merchants think.
Amazing. Final question for the panel. What's one other technology not on this panel that you would suggest adding to a tech stack? So let's start with Rebuy.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit out of the box on this one and say post-purchase order tracking software like Malomo or Wonderment. I mentioned this briefly in the presentation. We obviously work very closely with both of them. Pairing these with SMS alerts through something like a Klaviyo or Attentive is super powerful. Customers should proactively know where their orders are rather than having to search for them out of frustration. And with both of these partners, you can even send them, your customers, back to a beautifully branded landing page rather than, again, like an email from FedEx or UPS.
Awesome. Christy.
All right. I'm going to say an obvious one, but we suggest using Klaviyo. We all talked about it today, but personalization, email marketing, it's so important to build relationships with your customers, especially for subscriptions, because you have so many touch points and so many relevant touch points. And it really is the most effective tool at communicating in those touch points. So one thing that I will dive a little deeper on is using quick actions in Klaviyo. Those are URLs that you can simplify steps of different interactions with subscriptions. So for example, you can use a simple URL with one click to add a one-time product onto a subscription, or swap a product, or delay a delivery. It could all be done through a one-click triggered email.
Great. Pallavi.
Yes, I agree with both of you guys. One more that I'd add is, if you are a brand that sees a lot of returns, I would say return automation could be good. So I'd recommend Loop Returns for that. And because we're talking about retention today, basically returns automation can help you experience very quick returns with like retention, because typically retention is like a longer term game, but this would be like right away, you install something and then someone goes to return, and you're able to save that, thereby providing a more instant gratification type of retention experience.
Martin, take us home.
Sure. A/B testing is so important, even in retention, because first order AOV is such a big part of most customers' LTV. So I would say a tool like Google Optimize, I know they're sunsetting it, so maybe choose another tool. We use VWO ourselves. Definitely think a lot about how you can optimize that website journey to improve both acquisition and retention. And then the second one I would say is Qualtrics. The customers are the keepers of the data about what they're doing and why they're doing it. So try to get more opportunities to survey them, get their thoughts about why they're doing certain actions that they are. If Jon Snow is canceling his subscription, like, why is it? Is it because he doesn't need a water heater anymore because he's going to King's Landing, or is it because it's a really bad product? So you want to be able to pair your quantitative insights along with some qualitative hypotheses.
That was a masterful Game of Thrones reference. Well done. I don't even watch it, and I knew exactly what you were talking about. Well done. Appreciate everybody giving your insight on the panel and on your presentations. We do have a handful of Q&A questions that we're going to blow through really quickly. Some of these were answered via text, so I'm not going to ask all of them. Again, as a reminder, this is a re-recorded webinar because our last one did not record. So let's move through a handful of these questions. Again, if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to us or just me at Recharge, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with the right teams. There was a question about a headless platform over to Rebuy. Did you have any insight onto a headless platform, or was that more of a kind of one-off question?
I think it's a little bit more of a one-off. Just given the nature of headless, we probably need to dig in a little bit deeper.
Okay, sounds good. Christy, there was a question about a pause subscription option, and that there's always issues with customers being able to not change that. Is that part of what you were talking about giving customers the ability to manage their portal?
Yeah, Recharge has come out with a pause subscription feature, so you can access that via our support documentation.
Excellent. There's a fairly generic question about how Rebuy and Recharge work together. We covered a lot of that in here, so I don't think that there's anything necessarily specific that we can add. Adnan or Christy, anything specific, or you want to just leave it at that and have them reach out to us?
The only other specific things that I would also cover is that Rebuy does have the ability to work with Recharge directly in Recharge's customer portal. So that's one. And then the other is we work very closely with Recharge and Klaviyo on reactivate landing pages. So how can we win back any of your churn subscribers?
Awesome. I believe another question for Rebuy. Can we send people right to a product in the customer portal when we showcase it in an email?
I don't believe so, but if they could reach out to me, I can confirm that, but I don't believe we can do that just yet.
All right. Question for Christy at Recharge. Is there any tip that we can keep a lower cancel rate while keeping subscription flexibility and offering incentives such as a discount or free shipping?
Absolutely. I think setting up cancellation reasons is the first thing you should be doing. So capturing why people are canceling, whether they have too much product, whether their shipping schedule is not working for them, or it's not within their budget. And you can set up win back campaigns or even saves during the cancellation flow that are customized to those particular cancellation reasons. So for example, if someone says it's not in their budget, do you have another size that you can offer them? Can you give them a discount? There are other opportunities for you to hopefully save that customer along the way. And then capturing those cancellation reasons if they do cancel and putting them back in nurture campaigns to maybe win them back in the future would be a great idea.
I'd also add, just because this is something I like to talk about all the time, education and expectation setting. So when people do land on your page and it says subscription, do they know that they're getting in for a subscription? Are they aware that this requires, a payment every 2 weeks or a month, whatever it is? I think there's a lot of power in being able to say, here's what you're getting yourself into, here's what to expect. I think setting appropriate expectations always helps the merchant understand, or the customer understand what they're buying. Martin, you alluded to A/B testing a little bit, and I know that you recommended Google Optimize, even though it's being sunsetted. Do you have a different platform you'd recommend to A/B test, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, I've heard great things about VWO. They're a software that supported us really well in conjunction with Google Optimize. Optimizely, I've heard they're wonderful as well. Those are the two that we've talked to a lot, and I definitely have heard great things about.
Question for Pallavi. I would love to hear best practices for first response time for customer interactions.
Yes, post response time, the best thing to do, there's many, but one that I can share is automating it. And automating does not have to be cringe. Like you can, especially if the automation is very integrated with the rest of your tech stack. So let's take an example of, someone reaches out and says, hey, I'm not sure where my delivery is. One of the most common questions, right, in e-commerce. So that could be automated with actually their information of where the product is in the cycle, with the integrations from different areas in an automated manner. So it's super personalized, but it's still automated.
Amazing. I think this next question was geared towards our technologies on the panel, but I want to actually ask Martin, it's a question about integrating the trio of products, but it says the thought of integration is overwhelming. Is there product support or other support in getting these set up? Martin, I want to ask you, how difficult was it to set up Recharge, Gorgias, and Rebuy? Or is this something as simple as kind of, poke around a little bit to understand the features and off to the races?
It's really simple. And I think that's the beauty of these platforms, is they've already done the work for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a few clicks around in the platforms themselves to get them hooked up. Now, does that mean you shouldn't hire someone who's really good as an engineer? No, I think everyone should have a good engineer by their side. It's important to hire great people who have skills that complement yours. And for me, I couldn't touch a switchboard and do anything with it if I wanted. So really fortunate to be working with some talented engineers, and great talent is what drives growth for a company. If that's not your strength to even figure out the integrations between these platforms, then yeah, get someone in to do it. It's still simple for them. And then you can focus on what you're really great at, if that's brand or if that's media buying.
I'll also add you get out what you put into these things for the most part. So there are very easy, very simple options, one-touch integration options, but also the more you usually invest into it, the more you can get out of it. So definitely a sliding scale there. Yeah, go ahead on.
I was just going to add one thing there as well, is we're all set up to help the Martins of the world. And so one thing I haven't seen enough merchants do is actually get, if you have an account manager from, say, Recharge and Klaviyo, get them together on a call. Their aim is to help you as a brand. If you can get them together, explain your problem at a high level, and just let them go at it and try and help you, that'd be a great strategy. I don't see it happening enough, though.
Great piece of insight there. Question for Gorgias. We're currently struggling with the customer not really understanding that they can leave the chat widget and they'll still get a response. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so that is where kind of setting the expectation comes in, right? So one of the first responses can be, hey, like, we're outside of office hours. If you've sent a response, like, you will get the response back via email within an hour, right? Because that is a feature, but we don't actively advertise it because it can get a little bit, like, not everyone's looking for it. So it's a very specific use case. So we don't want to kind of take the on-site real estate for that. So the best thing to do there would be, if that's a recurring theme, set the expectation, let them know.
One other question for you. Our support team is 100% international and presents challenges with phone support. How have you seen companies tackle this?
Yes, great question. So phone support does tend to be one of the most expensive in all of the channels of support. So the first thing I would say is my recommendation would be, depending on the type of brand you are, do you need phone support? Some people really, really do want it, which is fine. But if you don't absolutely need it, like you don't have like a elderly clientele, which, would kind of respond better to that channel, maybe see if you can gradually move away from that into more nimble channels, right? But if you do want to provide it, or you already have a setup and you don't want to do away with it, that's fine. I have seen some brands use a voicemail first strategy very successfully as well, right? So that could be one more way. And because it's an omni-channel platform, in that you can respond in multiple ways, if your voicemail says, hey, Lean Mean team, got you, we're going to hear your voicemail, we'll get back in X time, also drop your email, you can actually go ahead and respond to them via email as well to their voicemail.
And with that, we are finished with our Q&A questions. I want to thank everybody once again for joining us. Special thank you to Martin. Really appreciate taking your time out of your day to come back and re-record this webinar. So thank you so much there. Thank you to all our panelists. If there are any other questions, you'll get this recording from an email, obviously. Just shoot a response back to that email address and I'll make sure to get you in front of the right people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.